Welcome back to the channel, guys. I had some extra time. An interview that I have where I'm being interviewed and I'm interviewing someone else was pushed back about half an hour. So I have a little bit of time now to put something together. And when I thought of what I wanted to put together, I thought, one, after this case so far, I need a sage. No wonder Justin was always staging the set with these people around. I have my crystals around. I'm going to take a bubble bath after this, but I just thought I would come on and we would share some clips from Justin that help us explain a little bit more. I think really who he is very easily getting overshadowed by everything that's just coming out. And I genuinely don't remember the last time I talked about him and his brand and who he be. So I have a couple of things I want to pull up, including a really cute commercial that someone sent me. And I thought it would just be a lighthearted video where we can kind of just sink into the energy of Justin. Because he's got a lot more grounding, calming, nurturing energy than some of the energy we've been around. And for those that are new to the channel, my name is Ashley Brianna Eve. My background is in both psychology as well as branding and marketing. And here we look at pop culture, power, and media manipulation through the lens of one of my favorite things, which is pop culture. And of course, we are covering this case. So make sure to like, subscribe. I have some incredible deep dive series and exposés that are already available on the channel, and we are just getting started. So the number one thing I saw when I was looking up Justin Baldoni, spirituality, and diving into who he is this incredible post. So on Instagram, he said, "My dear friend and spiritual brother, Rainn Wilson, wrote one of the most important books of the last decade. What our world needs more than ever right now is a spiritual revolution, one that takes us from me to we. I hope you consider picking it up, regardless of whether you believe in God, the universe, or follow any particular religion. This book is for you, for me, for all of us. Hashtag Soul Bloom." And a lot of the community here don't know about my past with human design, my experience with human design, experience with spirituality, but that is a big piece of how I work with my clients. And I work with a lot of spiritual entrepreneur clients. And so Justin Baldoni, his brand and who he be is basically what I am immersed in 24/7 within my job, is working with spiritual entrepreneurs like him and helping them build incredible brands in often niches where they are the black sheep, often in niches and industries where they're not following the norm. And I think that's such a big piece of Justin. We saw that in the LA Times hit piece, where they basically said in it, in very black and white words, of he doesn't belong here. He doesn't belong in Hollywood. He's so different, right? And I really believe that, one, we do need this spiritual revolution where we move from me to we. I feel we're going to get a little spiritual today. It's okay. I feel that that's where human design really comes in for us, is tools like human design help us understand ourselves as well as others on such a deeper level. And there's power in not just understanding ourselves on a deeper level, but others as well. Because again, it helps us move, as he says, from me to we. And we start thinking about our impact in the world, our impact on others, and the legacy that we're leaving behind. And I saw this interview with Rainn Wilson, and I wanted to dive into a couple of things that really stood out for me. One, I didn't know that happened at the time. And two, I think it gives us some insight into what happened on It Ends With Us as well. If I seem a little bit nervous or out of breath, I'm very nervous. I'm just going to let you guys know. I have an interview with someone that I've admired for a long time. I'm being interviewed, and then they are going to be on the channel as well in an interview. And so if I seem a little bit off or I can't catch my breath, it's because I am genuinely nervous and I'm spending the time with you rather than with ADHD when it comes to appointments, just staring at my computer and waiting for the interview to start. All right, let's get started. All right, so we will start right at the beginning. He says something very profound, and then I'm going to interject after that with how I guide my clients in terms of building brands and businesses. So it'll be really cool for you guys. I think, I don't know. I'm a nerd. This stuff makes me really excited, but we'll see if you enjoy it.
There's never been a way for me to separate my desire to be enough and to fit in this business with the projects that I make, because of course I made It Ends With Us and all these films for a very specific reason, but I also wanted people to think I was a good director or a good actor, and I wanted my place in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I've really learned over the course of the last 2 years that it really doesn't matter. And I've really had the great fortune of being able to see that what I thought I wanted isn't what I want.
So this is about 5 months ago, I believe. So that gives us some insight of what was going on behind the scenes, how he was feeling when he recorded this. And one of the things I work with my clients on, especially spiritual entrepreneurs, because there are some people that can just build brands and it has no meaning and they don't care about leaving a legacy. They don't care about SEO manipulation and sketchy narrative control and all of that. The people I work with genuinely want to build a brand that makes a difference in this world. And one of the questions I always bring them back to, because a lot of people find me when they've built a very successful business and brand and they're not fulfilled. They're not happy because what they thought they wanted isn't what they want. So they've been chasing these external markers or ways to prove themselves or ways to be seen or ways to be successful that are essentially agreements that they've taken on as their reality that really weren't ever true for them. They were agreements that they took on from the external world and made true for them to get recognition. Depends on your human design body graph. That's going to give us a little bit more insight, but to, prove themselves to their parents or to society, to be seen as a good director, to make your mark within an industry. And when you really come back and ask, okay, yeah, there's going to be struggle. He's a third line in human design. There's going to be trial and error. There's going to be hard times. And those hard times are worth it when you're in alignment. Those hard times are worth it when it's in service to something you want. Those hard times are not worth it and they're energetic drains and they cause bad health. They cause health problems when it wasn't something you want in the first place. So one of the questions I always ask my clients is this even what you want? You're chasing this and it's just causing more stress and more problems. Is this even what you want? And he seems to have realized that through, I believe it was 5 months ago, premiered October 8th, 2024. So he really is reflecting on the It Ends With Us situation, I believe. And maybe for him, I'd love to interview him one day. I'd love to do human design reading. If anyone has connections to Justin Baldoni, please let me know. I would love to do human design reading for him. I wonder if it was, that third line trial and error experience. That trial and error experience is there for you to really find out what your path is, what is right for you. And I imagine this hard time, as much as no one wants to go through it, helped illuminate and make him really sit with and contemplate, is this even what I want?
And I am feeling so genuinely happy and joyful for the first time in a long time.
So it was him with that realization of what he actually wanted that allowed him to be happy for the first time in a long time. And again, that's something that I bring all my clients to, especially those that are spiritually inclined, is one, build a brand based off of your strengths. Build a brand based in a company culture based on what's important to you. And we saw that in the LA Times article, right? People were judging him. He was forcing people to be happy and to be grateful and signed emails with love. I mean, never in my life have I heard someone upset because the company culture was too positive. Now, building a company culture is something that's important in brands and businesses. And that's what he was doing. And he was basing it off of who he be, which is exactly what you do for someone such as him, for a spiritual entrepreneur, for someone that it has to be from soul. He even said, I can't imagine separating the two of what I'm passionate about and causes I'm passionate about with my work. And I can understand that 100%. So for him, it's so important to be connected to that. And that's when he realized he was happy. But it was a hard time that made him realize what he wanted. This is interesting around being an outsider.
The blessing was that the social pressures were there, but I never felt like I belonged, which is something that I still struggle with. And I think has become one of the greatest blessings in disguise. Like I felt like an outsider. Like I would walk into a party and I would want to fit in. I wouldn't want to stand out. I would want to wear whatever cool people were wearing or, dress however.
Then why did you wear your pajama tops to this interview?
Well,
keep going.
They had me get a stylist for this.
That's really funny. Okay. Part of, and I'm going to be speaking in generalities here because obviously I don't know Justin. And part of that is part of ADHD as well. So a lot of ADHDers, myself included, struggle with rejection sensitivity a lot. And so that wanting to fit in and, kind of molding yourself in who you think people want you to be. And then no matter what, often you still fail at that, right? There's still going to be people that don't like you. one of my good friends always says, she says, people are going to love you and hate you for the exact same reasons. And I feel for so many of us, especially him, right? He felt like an outsider because he was. The LA Times interview said, basically, you didn't belong here. But with that rejection sensitivity, there is such a pull to want to fit in, to bend who you are, to not upset people, because you feel rejection on such, I think those that don't experience ADHD, it's hard to put into words, but I mean, you'll be kept up at night over something you said in like grade school, worried about what someone said. Do they not like me? Did they take something wrong? And I hope they didn't take that the way that, I didn't mean for it to be taken. I didn't want to hurt their feelings. You're ruminating over things that happened a long time ago. So that is very real for those that have ADHD. It's been something that's been part of my journey in showing up online, because not everyone's going to like you and everyone has an opinion online, right?
I had made a movie. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah.
And because I've been wearing the same clothes for the last 5 years, all that.
Did you see that? It was the original.
Well, I think that's really important
What
for the
everybody was
listeners to
doing.
hear is how being an outsider, feeling like you don't fit in, can be a protection and can be.
I don't think I went back far enough. Now I'm going to really mess things up, guys. Look at that. I mean, we've known that the cover was changed. That's not a surprise. But it's just, again, that, it's really heartbreaking for me, honestly. This whole case is heartbreaking. So he was so proud of that. And that's not even the cover, not cover. It's not a book, Ashley. What is it? Movie poster. Is that it? Movie poster.
Yeah.
And because I've been wearing the same clothes for the last 5 years, all that to say, I think there was a protection because I never felt like I was enough. I didn't feel like I was a part of it. So I wasn't trying to do.
Well, I think that's really important
what
for the
everybody was
listeners to
doing.
hear is how being an outsider, feeling like you don't fit in, can be a protection and can be kind of a superpower in a way. Because I think that's another thing that we both share is we never both felt like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, protection mechanism. Absolutely. I'm just pulling up his human design chart. I can't remember off the top of my head. Just to double check. Yeah, so he has an open solar plexus, open ego. So when we're looking at that, I can bring that up for you guys briefly, just to give some context for you guys. You don't have to know anything about human design, just knowing that where it's white, you're amplifying other people's emotions, for example, within the open solar plexus. So especially with ADHD and rejection sensitivity, I can see like trying to fit in, trying to prove yourself with the open ego, trying to be certain with the undefined ajna, so that you can be seen, so you can be accepted. Fitting in is big for the undefined G center as well. It's kind of absorbing other people's identities potentially in the shadow there so that you fit in. If I'm just like this person, I'll be successful. And of course, the true self of the undefined G center is understanding and knowing that you don't need to be like others. For him, it's really having the gate of self-expression, expressing his creativity, being true to that, staying true to that. Staying true to the behavior of self for him. But if he starts to absorb others' identities and to fit in, to prove himself through the open ego, to stop or not trigger other people's emotional waves, well, he's giving up his individuality, and those are his strengths. But man, it can be so loud, especially with that rejection sensitivity, to try and fit in, try to be something people want you to be. All right, back to the interview.
I was never able to have regular conversations because I'd want to know who somebody was, or I'd talk about my faith or life after death or all of these things that have become my life and my career, and people.
So I just want to stop here because those are the things, life after death, the meaning to life, all of these things are so important to him. And I honestly believe that's one of the things that triggered Blake the most, and probably Ryan. And obviously it did, because Nice Pool was born.
Parties don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about like deep things when they're, because I'm messing up their high. So I just had to figure out.
No, Justin, I want to talk about deep things. We want to talk about deep things here. Come on the channel. Let's talk about deep things. I can do a human design reading for you. We can talk about bell hooks. I have bell hooks books. We can have those deep conversations here. I would love to. And this is the thing as well, is when you saw his body graph, there's a lot of white there. Who he's around is so important. And with an undefined G center, how it's often said is if you're around the wrong people, it's the wrong place. And So therefore, it might feel like maybe Hollywood's the wrong place for him. But we have to bring it back to, well, is it that well, maybe the answer to this is yes. Is everyone in Hollywood bad? I mean, that might be a rhetorical question. Yeah, or is it just the people that you've been around? And it might not be, for example, we're just following this thread that you have to throw your entire career in Hollywood, but being around the right people will be very, very critical for him. Especially how he said, like, part of an outsider is I want to go deep in a conversation, and it's ruining people's high. Most spiritual people, when you have depth to you and small talk sucks, especially for ADHD, you tend to be awkward. It's like, at parties, you're cool for about as long as an avocado is useful. And then you're awkward again, and you just want to leave, and no one kind of wants you there.
Like, where's my place and who are my people? And
he just
in some ways,
who are my people?
It protected me. And spirituality was a big part of that. I took it seriously. I really believed that if I was going to be in this business, it was a gift from God, and that I was going to be of service in some capacity. And then in my mind, even if it was based on fear of maybe like the wrath of God, which I don't believe in anymore, I didn't want to squander that. I didn't want to didn't want to just go and take advantage of
which is so interesting, because I find so many in many industries, not just Hollywood, feel they're owed success or owed something. I see that in working with brands all the time. And he says it was a gift to even be in this industry. I love what he says here, and it's true.
And we want these types of stories. What we don't want is to be, we don't want virtue signaling. We don't want people to tell us how we should be so that we feel bad at the end of something if we're not that. And we want to be like wrapped up in an adventure, in a story, in somebody's life. We love drama. I mean, that's why you drive, we're in LA right now. You drive down the 405 and there's like a basic fender bender on the left side of the road and a police car, and everybody stopped because they're just curious and they want to look.
Yeah.
We love drama because we are dramatic. And so I think that the way to tell these stories is just to use real stories, real drama, like the storytelling principles that maybe you don't know where the story's going. Maybe there is something happening that is terrible, or we're talking about.
So I just want to pause here. One of my favorite books is by a mentor that I've had over time. It's called Addicted to Drama. And it's, quite literally what Justin's talking about right now, that we are inherently dramatic. We inherently are drawn to crisis and chaos. In this book, Addicted to Drama, Healing Dependency on Crisis and Chaos in Yourself and Others, really speaks to what he's speaking to here. And I love how he says, I'm meeting people where they're at. And that's what any brand should do. I'm meeting people where they're at. People love drama, so I'm going to give them drama, but how do we tie it to real stories and stories that are impactful and make a difference? And I think that's really powerful.
About a social issue, or maybe there is, as an example, like maybe this is about a serial killer, but is there a story about a serial killer where
with a heart of gold,
not necessarily redemption?
Would you cast me in that?
But you 100%
serial killer with a heart of gold.
In fact, I think we should.
Guilty.
Yeah. But maybe there's a story about a serial killer that, maybe it's not about the serial killer,
Sure.
but there's murder in it, and then there's something else happen. It's just about thinking outside the box.
Sure. Get out.
Yeah, I love, and what we just talked about with this human design, right? In terms of gate self-expression, the creative, that is very much thinking outside the box. But every time he suppresses that to fit in or to not upset anyone or to prove himself, he's going to be brought out of alignment. And so it's really interesting to see him talk so fluently and eloquently in regards to what alignment is for him. And he speaks very true to his human design. I don't know if he knows it or not. And we can also see where on the set of It Ends With Us, it caused places of out of alignment for him. So in this piece, Rainn kind of reflects back what I was saying as well, like drawing on that creative self-expression, the personal, and telling stories with it.
I love the way that you draw on the personal and let that inspire you in the storytelling that you want to do. And with Man Enough, the book, the podcast, the book for adolescent boys, trying to redefine manhood, the struggle with manhood, which has been so much of your personal struggle. You've talked about a ton on the amazing podcast, Man Enough. And I think we're going to do a episode drop swap or something like that, which is going to be awesome. And
okay, so we'll just pause here. We'll skip ahead a little bit. I'm getting more nervous. We have 20 minutes before the interview, guys. So you might notice you guys are keeping me company, even though this is pre-recorded, you're keeping me company. So I don't just watch the clock countdown. But yeah, he's saying like you tell these stories that are deeply personal that you can relate to. And to me, those are the most powerful stories.
People are looking up to you. You're playing kind of a sex symbol on a TV show and Jane the Virgin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And how the podcast and book and TED Talk came out of that. And then how that leads to This Ends With Us, and helping to try and center that conversation.
I mean, you throw some curveballs here,
Soul
man.
boom, baby.
Boom.
You've been soul boom.
Soul boom.
Together. Oh my goodness.
Whew. I have been questioning what it means to be a man since I was a kid. And for many years, my father, who's been my role model, I had years of resenting him because he didn't live up to what I think society's more rigid definition of masculinity looked like. What's strange is that if you actually look at my dad, he lived up and surpassed it. But as a young boy, I was like looking at my dad and he did, you know.
I'm just going to pause here. And that's so much I find for those that are going on spiritual journeys or self-help, self-development journeys. It's really looking back, honestly, in our childhood and where we took on those agreements. It's a great book, The 4 Agreements. I'll put it in the notes, where we took on those agreements external. So for example, judging your father or your mother based on who you thought they didn't live up to be based on society standards. And I think it's just such a profound conversation.
As I got older, I realized I was so much like my dad in so many ways. I am really sensitive. I'm an empath. I feel everything. I cry all the time, movies and TV shows, sometimes commercials. And
me too, Justin, me too. Especially commercials with animals.
He taught me that was okay, but I didn't know how to like apply that into the real world, because these weren't the things that people were drawn to. You know, single guy in my 20s, like.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so again, it's going into that, what I was just saying, there's a book, The Body Keeps Score. We hold so much over our lives and our bodies. And a lot of that deconditioning process and that self-development and spiritual awakening process is allowing some of those stories, some of those agreements to pass as you age. And there's a positive psychology intervention, forgiveness letters and gratitude letters. And I know gratitude, poor Justin's come under fire for gratitude. But one of the things I've also done is people in my childhood or growing up or even now, but writing forgiveness letters or a forgiveness letter to myself, right? Because often, especially if you have ADHD, you hold so much guilt and shame around who you are. Forgiveness letter to myself, gratitude letters to myself, to others, because at the end of the day, we're doing the best we can with what we currently have. And a lot of what we currently have is conditioning that we've brought on ultimately. This next piece I can relate to a lot, especially what he says, I put so much energy into climbing the career ladder. I really like what he has to say here.
That's great. What next? Where next lies your journey?
I've put so much energy into climbing the career ladder and to being enough in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, I think, over this last film that there's never been a way for me to separate my desire to be enough and to fit in this business with the projects that I make. Because, of course, I made It Ends With Us and all these films for a very specific reason. But I also, you know, wanted people to think I was a good director or a good actor.
And so that's what we go into with our motivation, our core motivation, right? Is this actually what you want to do? Or is it only to prove yourself? And then we can start to deconstruct, well, what do you actually want? So you can build a life that's fulfilling and a business and a brand that's fulfilling.
Wanted my place in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's enmeshed with all of it. And I think I've really learned over the course of the last 2 years that it really doesn't matter. And I've been able to, luckily, and it's never 100% pure, but I've really had the great fortune of being able to see that what I thought I wanted isn't what I wanted, and that I have everything that I want. And so my focus right now has been to really show up as a father and as a husband in ways that I wasn't before.
I think we all have an opportunity to learn from him right now. I think as a society, we all have a lot to learn from what he has to say, honestly. And it's so profound for all of us. We spend our entire lives trying to check boxes and chase things that we think we want based on society, based on expectations of others. And then again, it's coming back to, is this even what I want? And life is short. I was like 20 yesterday, I swear. Life is short. So how can we spend it with the people we love, doing things we love? Doesn't mean you don't have to work. Of course you have to work. You have to pay the bills. That's just the reality of the situation. But spend that time doing things you actually want.
And it's little things that nobody cares about, but the things that mean a lot to my wife and my kids. And then trying to be a good friend, showing up for my friends in ways that I've had many show up for me recently. You being one of them.
I don't know if you guys saw this originally when it dropped, but it seems as though there are so many Easter eggs in regards to what was actually going on with It Ends With Us.
Everything outside of the world the public sees is what I'm focused on right now. And I am feeling so genuinely happy and joyful for the first time in a long time.
Going to the fatherhood.
All right, so that's what I want to share there. And then I also just want to share this really cute commercial that someone shared with me. I might have to cut it out after because I might get struck for the music, but I just want to show you guys. It's so cute. All right, I might have to cut this out later. I don't know, but I just think it is adorable. And I had to share it with you guys. He seems like such a funny guy. All right.
Every mommy, good morning. Make some coffee. Every daddy, wake up at first light. They're back to school, all right.
I am going to get in so much trouble for this sound. It's probably going to be struck, but maybe I'll just like skip some pieces. I don't know. I feel like it's that like dun, 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 that's going to get me.
Oh my God, they're back to school. Time to get them on a schedule. Gonna take the school year day by day. Gotta raise some money for the PTA. That means parent teacher.
PTA, that means parents. Guys, I hope this doesn't get struck because I am just dying. I love this so much.
Association. Am I fake sailing? No. Am I car washing? No. Am I?
Also, when we were kids, were we singing "Am I sexual"? Is that what the original words are? That is wild.
Raffling. No. Instantly support your school with HP Instant Ink right now. Every mommy, yeah. Raise some money, yeah. Every daddy, rock the student body right. They're back to school, all right.
I have to pause it again. I'm like, even if I get no, like if this gets struck, I'm keeping it up. I'm having too much fun.
If you don't have time to volunteer, with everything going on this year, you can still spread the word right now. Come on. All you gotta do is lip sync this song. They're back to school. All right. Give me some school. Give me some school.
I have to pause again. I'm gonna get so drunk.
Give me some school. They're back to school. All right.
Okay, that is literally the cutest commercial I have ever seen in my life. It was someone on TikTok that said, Ashley, you have to watch this. You will love him even more. And now I have Backstreet Boys stuck in my head as I go into this interview. But how cute is that? You know, you got to appreciate someone that can laugh and have fun and be goofy and at the same time be so deeply spiritual. I appreciate someone like that through my entire beingness. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a beautiful day. This was just, I think often in these situations, the victim gets pushed to the back. Well, the wrongdoers get pushed to the front. And I just want to do a little bit of a fun video about him. So I hope you enjoyed. Have a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.